Hey friends, it's me, Amy Rebecca, your internet bestie for all things personal development, intentional living and dream chasing. The fan has been off for approximately 20 seconds and I already feel like I'm going to die. Ugh. That's the worst frappe I've ever made. But I'm gonna drink it because it's cold and I need the caffeine. So 2025 is already halfway over and I want us all to collectively cast our mind back to January when we were feeling so optimistic, so motivated. We had that new year, new me glow. We were ready to take on the world. We were going to achieve things we had never achieved. How many of us can say that we've consistently carried that same vigor and motivation and focus for the last 6 months? If you haven't, that's absolutely okay, but I think that's why it's important to have these kind of reflect and reset sessions. You review what's gone well so far, what hasn't, have you made progress towards your goals? If not, why not? And are there things you can tweak to help you get back on track? I'm going to reflect on some of my most recent goals that I set. I'm going to be setting new goals. We're also going to do a financial reset. We're going to be looking at how much I've spent so far this year, where that money has gone, are there any changes I can make, and then take a look at my financial goals and just make sure that I'm on track to hit those. So get comfy, grab yourself a little drink, hopefully one that tastes better than mine, and then if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button before we jump in. So even though right here and now we're doing like a mid-year check-in, like a biannual reflect and reset, I personally like to sit down and do this once every quarter. If you follow me on TikTok, which by the way you should if you have it, or if you've seen any of my videos about my this time next year challenge, then you'll be familiar with this setup that I use to help me work towards my goals. Here's just a brief overview of it. I sit down once a year and I ask myself, what do I want my life to look like by this time next year? What areas of my life do I want to improve? What things do I want to change? What skills do I want to learn? I make myself a little spider diagram with all of the things that I want to achieve by this time next year, all of the changes I want to make, and then this is what I am constantly working towards. Then once a quarter, I will set myself 3 to 5 short-term goals to help keep me on track towards those big changes that I want to make. The quarterly goals are a big deal for me. I have ADHD. I'm not someone who is naturally good at consistency or focus or remembering like what I'm doing in my life. What are you working towards? What are you trying to achieve? What's your 5-year plan? Don't remember. Can't remember. So checking in once a quarter, it does help to keep that focus. And if you're interested to learn more about the This Time Next Year challenge, I will link some videos down below, and I'll also link my This Time Next Year starter bundle, which explains how you can make a start on this challenge yourself, as well as all of the worksheets that I use to help me set my goals and figure out where I'm going and how I'm going to achieve that. Because the good thing about the This Time Next Year challenge is you don't have to wait until January. Like mine, it runs October to October. Like honestly, if we're being serious, January sucks. It's cold, it's raining, it's dark, it's miserable. Start making change now when the sun is shining and you're feeling good and you're motivated. Anyway, all of that was to say that I'm moving into the last quarter of my This Time Next Year challenge. So what I'm going to do now is take a look back at the quarterly goals I set last quarter. Okay, so last quarter my short-term goals were: number 1, introduce myself to 3 strangers at different locations. This ties in to one of my bigger goals, which is this time next year I am more confident around new people / less afraid of rejection. It's about putting myself out there more, kind of overcoming my people phobia. Sounds dramatic. I'm anxious around new people, okay? I'm trying to overcome that. So I am pleased to announce that I did do that. Unlike most things that are scary or off-putting, the more I did it, the better I got. I ended up actually introducing myself to far more than 3 strangers in the last 3 months, because once I started, I was like, oh, this isn't actually so bad after all. So that is a big tick. I did that one. Goal 2 was to increase my running stamina so I can run 8 kilometers again, which I did not achieve. Since I've been doing boot camp, which I started about 10 weeks ago now, I have not been running at all, really. I've been on 1 run. It's just really hard to fit it in. And by that I mean the hair washing schedule. If I have to wash my hair after boot camp, I also go to the gym in the mornings and lift weights. I do Pilates on a Saturday morning. If I start adding in evening runs, I'm going to be washing my hair like 5 times a day. And let me tell you something, there are a few things I hate in life more than washing my hair. I did go on 1 run last month, the one and only run, and I managed 5k, not consistently. I did have to take breaks in between, but actually I was really impressed with that because I have not been running consistently since, like, guys, for like a hot minute. So on one hand, yeah, it's a shame that I haven't been running, but on the other hand, to be able to just go out on a run and like do 5k, as someone who, by the way, not a good runner, my stamina is good from doing boot camp. I just need to figure out a way to find more time to integrate running into my workout schedule. And that is something that I'd like to do going forward, not least because I need to make the most of the sunshine. Goal 3 was to fully and completely declutter my wardrobe. Is a wardrobe ever fully and completely decluttered? No, but I did go through, was it last month or the month before, and I was brutal. I got rid of so much stuff, and I finally feel now I've got to a point where, yeah, I'm no longer hanging on to things out of a sense of guilt, or what if I do need that, or maybe one day. It's like, it's gone. It's gone. If I don't love it, if I don't use it, it's gone. Goal 4 was to sell my unwanted clothes on Vinted to help fund a new wardrobe, and I've partially achieved that. I have not listed everything, and that was my big goal, was to just finally list it all. And I think I've got about 20 more pieces that need to be listed. And look, it's just boring. Taking photos of clothes and listing them on Vinted, it's just boring. But I have sold a bunch of stuff on Vinted, and while it hasn't helped me fund a new wardrobe, I have taken the money that I made on Vinted and it's helped me fund a new pageant, because I've got a pageant next week that I wasn't expecting to sign up for, and the Vinted money has helped cover the cost of my pageant wardrobe. So I definitely achieved 2 of those goals. Could it have been better? Yes. But it's better than if I hadn't achieved any of them. One thing I will say is that when you are setting goals, when you're trying to become a better version of yourself and achieve big things, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't make it miserable. Don't punish yourself. This is why I hate the whole like 75 hard thing. I know some people thrive doing that, but if your brain works the same way that my brain works, I am not encouraged by a sense of failure. For some people, that all or nothing approach works, but I think for most people it doesn't. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. If you look back at your goals and you see like, oh, I didn't achieve everything I set out to achieve, you are a human being and life is crazy. Just keep doing your best and celebrate the small wins. Now let's talk about my new short-term goals that I have for the next 3 months. Okay, so when I'm setting my short-term goals, I always try and think of things that are going to help move me in the direction of my bigger, longer term goals. I want them to be achievable. I don't want to set myself anything huge. And I also try to pick goals from a variety of different like life categories. Like I don't want to set all fitness goals or all mental health goals. I want to have some variation in there. So goal 1, I've written, do at least 1 park run. I think reflecting on the state of my running training, which is non-existent. Usually in the past, I would set like a kilometer goal. I want to be able to run 5k, I want to be able to run 8k. But really, I think the big thing for me right now is just getting out the door and running. So setting myself that goal of saying, okay, go to a park run. Maybe you run the whole 5k, maybe you stop and walk a little bit, but you will be running. And really, what is the main outcome I'm trying to achieve? That's a really big thing when you're setting goals, is asking yourself, what is the end game? Is my goal to be able to run a certain number of kilometers? And for right now, no, my goal is just to run at all. So 1 park run in the next 3 months, that will help me get back into it, I think. Goal 2 is to organize a new bestie brunch meetup. This is a little community that I set up on TikTok last year or the year before. It's for women in the local area who want to get out there and meet new people and find new friends, because finding friends as an adult, hard. I am overdue organizing a meetup for that, so that is something that's like constantly on my mind, like, oh, I should do that, I should do that. So now it's down in writing and I'm going to do it. Goal 3 is to get my car sorted out. It needs a service, the seats need to be reupholstered, it needs to be cleaned, it just needs help. It needs help. And number 4 is finish 1 book from my TBR. Forgive me for this tangent that I am about to embark on, but we're going there, okay? One of the things I wrote on my spider diagram was, this time next year I'm a more consistent reader, and I had been almost exclusively pulling books from this list of 100 books that you should read before you die kind of list. And some of them have been incredible, but some of them I have absolutely despised. And I think I got to the point where I wasn't reading as much because I wasn't enjoying the content I was reading. And then again, I had to ask myself, what is the ultimate goal? Is the ultimate goal to read all of these books, or is the ultimate goal just to read more? And the answer was read more. So I threw the TBR out the window last month, and since then I've read 4 books. I am devouring them because I'm just going into the library and picking up whatever sounds good. There's no pressure, because I feel like when I'm referring to the TBR, it feels like I'm doing a job, I'm doing something productive. Whereas when I'm just reading whatever looks good, it's just for fun. Feels different in my mind. But I would like to finish 1 more book off my TBR, because as much as like you might be thinking, girl, let it go, I can't. One thing about me, I can't let things go. You know that if you follow my project plan, I can't let things go. So I will eventually get through that TBR. I think I've only got about 12 books left on there, but certainly it is not my focus. My focus is on just reading, just getting back into reading. Okay, so those are all of my goals as we move forward into Q3 for the rest of the world, but Q4 for me, because my This Time Next Year challenge, like I said, it runs October to October. Now let's move into the finances, and I'm going to bring up my... Sorry, Cece Suarez is still playing. I'm going to pull up my budgeting spreadsheet, and we're going to crunch some numbers. So as always, this budgeting spreadsheet is from a little online shop called CoPlenty. I am an affiliate because I freaking love their spreadsheets. As you know, I'm a spreadsheet nerd, and these are... I could never design a spreadsheet like this. Like, I love a spreadsheet. I'm all about it. This is next level. So I'll leave a link down below if you want to go check them out. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little look at my annual totals so we can see what I've spent so far this year. Okay, so let's take a look at the expenses. So we can see for groceries, I've spent £56.96. I have to say it, this is not obviously all of the groceries that I've eaten in 2025. This is just like top up groceries, popping to the shop and grabbing extras. Eating out, I spent £220.09. I mean, it's not that much, but it kind of is, because the eating out category for me is not eating out to socialize or eating out in an intentional way. Eating out means I couldn't be bothered to cook, so I went out to eat instead. Over the course of 6 months, it's not that much, but like, girl. Petrol, I've spent £230.12. Not much I could do about that, really. Car maintenance, I've spent £333.14. Next we have gifts, and I've spent £229.99 on gifts. I've spent £339.72 on health. I've spent £362 on beauty treatments. That's just hair and nails. At this rate, we're looking at £800 by the end of the year. I did say at the start of 2025 I was going to stop getting my nails done because it is an expense, and when you see it adding up like this and you see like the true extent of how much it costs, it's a lot. Like, that's a holiday. This is one of those questions for me because the frugal part of me is like, girl, stop with the nails. Put that money into investments. Take that money, put it somewhere else where it'll do more for you. And then the other part of me is like, this is something I enjoy that makes me feel good. And as much as, yes, I want to save and I want to be really intentional with my money, the point of me going out and doing a job and earning money is, yeah, pay bills, do all those sensible things, but also enjoy my life, do the things that make me feel good. And having my nails done, it makes me feel good. I go back and forth about this all the time, let me tell you. But yeah, £362. Yikes. Clothing, I've spent £241.51, which is quite a lot actually, but I have had to replace some things in my wardrobe this year. Makeup, I spent £132.35. Skincare, I've only spent £24.99. Wow. Hair care, I've spent £38.82. Again, that's not much. Toiletries, I've spent £22.62, not much. I guess I'm pulling a lot still from my like cosmetics collection, but still, I'm pleased with those numbers. Books, I've spent exactly £1. Takeaways, I've spent £41.33, which I don't think that's bad at all, because my takeaway of choice has switched from Domino's to Subway, and Subway is much cheaper. Oh, by far the biggest chunk of change has been hobbies at £1,967.20. That is head and shoulders above all the other categories, and the biggest chunk of that has got to be pageants. Been in one pageant so far this year. I've got another one coming up next week, and that's an expensive hobby. I try and keep those costs to a minimum. You know, I buy a lot of my stuff secondhand, I rent, I reuse. I try to be a frugal girly about it, but at the end of the day, it is expensive. So pageants would come under that. Also the gym, my boot camp, Pilates, my dance class, the craft club I go to. All these things add up, and I say this all the time, but I don't mind spending money on my hobbies. I'd rather spend, you know, £2,000 on my hobbies than on clothes or knickknacks or stuff. Charity, I've spent £129.25. Some of that is still in a sinking fund that I'm saving up for Christmas, because I want to do Bags of Joy again this Christmas. I did it last year for the first time, and it was such a freaking roaring success, and so many of you guys helped out. What I did was basically I put together gift bags for women who are accessing the services of my local Women's Aid. So we had toiletries in there, we also had some luxury items. Lush in Swansea donated, I think it was 6 enormous bags of it was insane. I'll insert some footage so you can see, but oh my gosh, that whole project was a roaring success. It did so much better than I envisioned. So I'm putting aside money every month so I can reinvest and do that again this year. Transport, I spent £70.65. Trips, I've spent £1,340.02. The vast majority of that being last month. If you watched my most recent budget reset video, I spent £737.40 on being social, which is an introvert, like I'm doing the most. Drinks, I've spent £130.20, which feels like so freaking much. When you actually look, it's not. That's like 1 drink in January. That was expensive in February. Oh, that's because I went out for my mom's birthday to a vineyard, so the wine was expensive. That was probably 2 drinks in March. Anyway, moving on. I've spent £37.60 on coffee. Not too bad considering that is my passion in life. Nothing on personal development. We did talk about this in my video the other day, my July budget reset. Unaccounted, which is money that I just can't find. Just lost it. £35.96. That's not great. Subscriptions, which would be like my phone, Spotify, that is £188.93. It adds up, doesn't it? And then miscellaneous, £61.59. for a total of £6,973.44. Then I've also been putting money into my sinking funds, like I said, as well as my monthly payment into my investment portfolio. So I've paid £1,457.82 into savings and sinking funds. I feel good about those numbers, honestly. I feel really good about that. Now, to wrap things up, let's take a look at my financial goals for 2025. Am I on track to achieving those? Do I need to alter them? Do I need to bring in anything new? Let's talk about it. So my first financial goal was to have £3,500 in investments, and I said that I wanted to pay money into my investment portfolio every single month of 2025, and so far I have done that. I've put £100 into investments every single month. Let me just log into my account and I can tell you exactly how much is in there. Okay, so I currently have £3,128.09 in my investment portfolio, so I am well on my way to reaching my goal, providing the market doesn't crash again. Because there was a hot minute there earlier this year where I had to stop looking at my investment account. I mean, and I only have a small amount in there. Imagine what it's like for people who have like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds in investments and it just tanked. The stress, the drama. And it's not like we can blame any one person for that. I'm lying, we absolutely can. Anyway, well on track to getting that 3,500 in investments, as long as people don't make crazy decisions that tank the stock market. again. Goal number 2 was to increase my side hustle income. Remember when I talked about us in January being like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and full of optimism? That was me with this, because in the last 6 months of 2024 I earned £1,677.12 in side hustle income, and I was like, I can do more. And then in the first 6 months of this year I earned £697.08, so almost £1,000 less. Actually, I can't say I'm surprised. Have I been putting my time and energy into side hustles? No, pretty much none of my time and energy has gone into that. I find it really hard to be consistent with it. I find it really hard to focus on it, and my priorities, it is not up there. And so yeah, that number reflects that. I felt really bad actually when I first saw those numbers. I felt like, oh my god, that is like a big fail. But then I had to remind myself, okay, that hasn't worked out, but I've been putting a lot more time and energy into this, into my YouTube channel, and that has paid off. Like 20,000 subscribers now, my cake is coming. I've been getting more sponsorship opportunities through YouTube. So yeah, my side hustle income is down, but my YouTube income is up. Sometimes I tell myself, you can have it all, but not at the same time. And right now my focus has been YouTube, so I can't be too disappointed about that. Plus £700 of side hustle income in 6 months. How can I feel badly about that? That's £700 that I wouldn't have had. My next goal was to pay off my Vegas trip. I'm gonna pull up my spreadsheet again actually, and I'll show you my debt tracker. The tracker of shame. Okay, debt tracker. So okay, you can see here the total I had to pay off was £1,470, and I'm paying off £140 a month. So far I've paid £980 and I've got another £490 left to pay. So I am well on my way to getting that done, and according to my spreadsheet, I should have paid all of this off by the 9th of October, which is great. I'm so excited for that. Truly, having that extra £140 a month to be able to put towards something else is so exciting. Once this pageant is done and I'm done paying off Vegas, I'm gonna feel like a millionaire. I am. My final goal was to use my Vinted balance to pay for new clothes. So I wanted to go through the entire year without taking any money out of my like monthly budget for clothes. The reason for this was twofold. Number 1, to encourage me to actually list my stuff on Vinted, and number 2, to make sure that I was being very, very intentional about the clothing I was buying. If your purchases are funded by what you sell, you're limited to how much you can buy, so it meant that I wasn't going to end up with a bunch of new stuff coming in. Overall, moving in a really good direction with that. Do I want to change or add any new financial goals? You know what if I set myself the goal of making £1,000 in side hustle income? So I made £700 in the last 6 months. I'm going to put it in, because do you know what? The good thing about goals, if you don't achieve them, nothing happens. You're in the exact same spot you were before you set the goal. Pay off my Vegas trip, yes. Use a Vinted balance to pay for new clothes, yes. Do you know what? I think I'm good for now with those. So have £3,500 in investments, make £1,000 in side hustle income by the end of the year, pay off my Vegas trip and use my Vinted balance to pay for new clothes. I don't think I want to add anything else. Sometimes there can be a real temptation to kind of, when you're setting goals, to pile too much on your plate, and then it's just too hard. I don't want to make my life hard. I want to achieve things, but I don't want to overwhelm myself. Okay, so that was everything. Goals, finances, spending. I cannot believe I'm still drinking this coffee. That's how desperate I am for the caffeine. I imagine this video is going to be pretty long because I feel like I've been talking for quite a while. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please let me know in the comments, and also let me know what one of your goals is going to be for the next 3 months, because I'm nosy and I like to know. Please remember that you are enough just as you are. I love you so much, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!